Hola y bienvenidos a este video en el que vamos a hablar sobre la pronunciación del español. Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to talk about Spanish pronunciation. I'm going to talk you through the key letters that you need to watch out for that are pronounced very differently to how they're pronounced in English. We're going to talk about vowel sounds and combinations of consonants with vowels, including some that tend to catch people out. And then we're going to talk about la tilde, which is that accent that you see everywhere in Spanish. What's that for? Well, it's actually really useful and basically tells you exactly how to say the word. So they're the three things we're going to focus on. So let's start with those key letters that tend to catch people out. First, we've got the letter H, which from the very first word you tend to learn in Spanish, hola, we can realize is silent. We never pronounce the H in Spanish, with the exception of some words that are from a foreign language, like the word hippie. You might say hippie. If it's an actual Spanish word, the H is always silent. So hotel becomes hotel, hospital becomes hospital. The next letter that catches people out all the time is the letter J. It's never pronounced like a J in English. Sometimes it's a H sound, like a H in English. Sometimes it's a bit more H. So we can say the color red as rojo or as rojo. There are lots of different accents in the Spanish-speaking world, even within Spain. In other parts of the Spanish-speaking world, it's a lot more suavecito, a lot softer, a lot more subtle. Rojo, jamón. The letter R in Spanish is very different to in English. It's not ever a R sound. It's always a R. It always kind of uses your tongue, like rojo at the start of rojo. It's not rojo or rojo. It's rojo. If I have a double R, it's always that rolling R, that trilled R, and that differentiates the word but, which is pero, from the word dog, which is perro, pero, perro. The letter L in Spanish is very similar to in English. La, el, got that L sound. We're doing a similar thing with our tongue. But when I have two of them together, it makes a very different sound. So the double L, you can almost treat it like a different letter. It makes a Y sound for a lot of Spanish speakers. For some, it makes a J sound, a bit like the English J. And in Argentina, Buenos Aires, in certain areas of Argentina and also Uruguay, it's a sh sound. If we take the word for horse, which is caballo, it's either like a Y sound in English, caballo, or it can be like a J sound, for example, in Medellin, in Colombia, caballo, caballo. And if we go to Buenos Aires or Montevideo in Argentina and Uruguay, caballo, like a SH in English. So it can sound perfectly correct, they're just different accents. It can sound like Y, like a Y, J, like a J, or sh, like a SH, but it's never going to sound like a L. It's never going to be caballo. So watch out for the double L. The letter V in Spanish sounds almost identical to the letter B, and it has that B sound that we have in English. So if I say, let's go, vamos, I'm not going to say vamos. I'm going to say vamos. It's with a B. So our lips are coming together, vamos. So sometimes the letter V, the letter B, it can be a bit confusing. Which one do I write? That can catch people out. Even native speakers of Spanish, it's common for them to misspell words with a V where it should be a B, or vice versa, because of that similarity of sound. The combination of CH in Spanish is very similar to CH in English. It makes that ch sound. For example, in the word charlar, to chat, charlar, it's very similar to chat, chat, charlar. That ch sound, very similar. The QU in English is like a qu sound. In Spanish, it's always a hard k sound. It's a bit like the letter K in English. And we see that in the word que in Spanish, which means what? Quesadilla. If you've ever eaten quesadillas, they're not quesadillas, they're quesadillas, because we've got the double L and we've got the QU. So with that one, going back to the double L, I could say quesadilla, quesadilla, or quesadilla. All of those are correct options, just different accents. And the final letter I want to talk about is the ñ, because in Spanish we've got N and we've also got ñ. They're completely different letters. We also call the squiggle on the top of that N a tilde, just like the accent that we put on vowels as well, which we'll talk about a bit later. But the ñ makes a ñ sound as opposed to a n sound, like in the word España and español, the language that you're learning right now with me. So now that we've covered some of the key letters that catch people out, let's talk a bit about vowel sounds. The 5 vowels in Spanish are the same as in English, A, E, I, O, U, and they're always pronounced A, E, I, O, U. Spanish has less vowel sounds because what we do if we have 2 vowels together is we just pronounce each one. In the verb traer, the A and the E, we just hear A, E. traer. So Spanish just has those 5 vowel sounds, a, e, I, o, u, and if I combine them with a consonant, they're very consistent. La, le, li, lo, lu, ma, me, mi, mo, mu. So when you see a vowel in a Spanish word, you can be 100% sure of how you're going to pronounce it. Now, although those vowel sounds are consistent regardless of the consonant that they're attached to, what does change is the letter C and G. Their sound can be different depending on which vowel they're attached to. So if we take the letter C to begin with, we've got ka, ko, and ku. But if it's followed by an E or an I, there are some options here, depending on accent. In most of mainland Spain, people have what's called el ceceo, which is that Spanish lisp, cerveza, instead of cerveza, which they'd say in Canary Islands or in some parts of Spain like Cordoba and in all of Latin America. So we've got to be mindful of that. If you know you're learning Spanish for Spain, you're going to want to practice the ceceo, and if you're learning it for elsewhere, the ceseo. And this video is going to talk you through both forms. So what happens with C and a, e, I, o, u? We have ka, se, si, ko, ku, or ka, fe, fi, ko, ku. When the C is followed by an E or an I, it creates what I call a soft C sound, and the other vowels, A, O, and U, create a hard C, a k. Ka, ko, ku is a hard C sound. The other ones, whether it's se, si, or the, thi, it's what we call a soft C sound. Exactly the same thing happens with the letter G. Ga, he, hi, go, gu, or ga, he, hi, go, gu. So whether we've got that h, like with the letter J, or it's more of a h, the G followed by an E or an I is a soft G, whereas the G, when it's followed by an O, an A or a U, it's a weird order, A, O, or U, then it's going to be a hard G, g, like in gato. Gato as opposed to gente or gente, the word for people. So some examples of these, we've got carro, it's a hard C sound, ca, carro. We've got that double R as well. With CE, we've got cerveza or cerveza. We've got that E, which is se or the, and then cerveza or cerveza. It's changing that hard C to a soft C. The number 5, we've got cinco or cinco, depending on your accent. Cinco, cinco, that I is changing the C from a k to a soft C. So this is a bit complicated. It's only with these 2 letters. The rest of the time, like with pape, pipo, pu, mame, mi, mamu, la, le, li, lo, lu, it's very, very consistent, very easy. The other thing to be aware of with the G is sometimes it's followed by a U and then an I or an E, and that gives us that hard G sound. The U kind of protects the hard G sound, like in the word guisantes, which are peas, like garden peas in Spain. Guerra, which means war. So now let's talk about la tilde. La tilde is really, really useful. La tilde is the accent, that kind of flick you see on the top of Spanish vowels. You're never going to see it in Spanish on top of anything other than a vowel. It doesn't change the sound of the vowel at all. What it does is it pinpoints, it tells us this is la sílaba tónica. This is the tonic syllable. Now what that means is that's the syllable you emphasize. So when you see this, you may have noticed that as we're kind of saying the word, or if you hear a word, the strong syllable is exactly where la tilde is, where the accent is. And you've probably noticed, well, not every Spanish word has an accent. When you don't see an accent on a word, it's because there are rules in Spanish about how to pronounce them. There are 2 key rules we need to remember. If the word ends in a vowel, an N or an S, the stressed syllable, the emphasized syllable, la sílaba tónica, is la penúltima, the penultimate one, the second to last. So a word that ends in an A, like patata, has 3 syllables, patata, and we've got that a vowel sound, a, patata, nice and simple, 3 syllables, there's no accent, no tilde. So it's going to be the second to last syllable, the strong one, patata, patata. If I put an accent on the first A, patata, if I put it on the last A, patata, the accents tell us this is how to pronounce the word. But if there isn't one, we go with this rule. It ends in a vowel, it ends in an N or an S, it's the penultimate syllable. And the second key rule, if it ends in any other consonant other than N and S, then it's going to be the very last syllable, the emphasized one. For example, a writer is un escritor. It ends in an R, it's not an N or an S, it's not a vowel, so I'm emphasizing that last syllable, escritor, instead of escritor or escritor. If a word has an accent, then it's even easier because I can forget about those 2 rules and I can just focus on that accent. It's like an instruction manual. It's saying, this is how you pronounce this word. If it's got 2 syllables, if it's got 3, if it's got 4, if it's got 5, the accent will tell you this is the syllable you need to emphasize. So as long as you remember these rules, how to pronounce the vowels, a, e, I, o, u, bearing in mind that whichever one we use with a C or a G might change the sound of the C or the G, watching out for the J, the H, the double L, the QU, the CH, the V's and B's, and remembering the accents and those 2 rules for pronouncing words without accents, then you can speak Spanish 100% accurately in no time. Just a quick reminder to hit that like button if you found this video useful, if you found it interesting. It's just a click of a button or a tap of the screen for you, but it really means a lot to me and it helps me to know which videos people have found most useful as well. Also, if you have any comments, please do use the comment function below. You can say something that you learned, something that you found a bit difficult, and again, it will help me to plan future videos. And if you haven't already done so, please do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the future videos that I'll be posting. If you really don't want to miss out on any of them, you can also turn on notifications.